Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going through my April TBR. So I'm really looking forward to April for a couple of reasons. There's a couple of books that are coming out that were on my most anticipated books list for 2022. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got some really fun buddy reads organized for the channel, which is going to be a really good time. It always is. But this is also the last month that I feel like I have overcommitted to reading things. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I really love reading books with people. It has been the best part of being on Discord, of being on BookTube. But from January to April, I organized so many things and said yes to so many things because I was genuinely excited for so many things that it felt a little bit overwhelming. Not that the number of books was ever too high, because I always read that number of books per month, but I felt like there was no wiggle room in terms of like swapping something out or reading something different. And I don't like that feeling. I like to have some of that flexibility. And so in May, I will have some of that flexibility back. And even though we'll still continue to do a buddy read every month, and I'm sure I will still jump in on reading some things with other people, I will feel like I have a little bit more freedom in terms of what I can put on my TBR. But I will get into it. There are a fair number of books to go through for this month, and I will start off with the buddy reads for the channel. So I am participating in 4 buddy reads in April, and we'll start with the official channel buddy read. So this is the book that I will start on April the 1st. This is the book that I will make sure to kind of read through first, and hopefully will be very active in chatting about. And that is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. This is a book that, at least on BookTube, seems to be unanimously loved. Everybody really enjoys this. I had the pleasure of being on Chatting with Nuts recently, and Jimmy and I had a long conversation about Empire of Silence and the things that he likes about it, and I'm just really looking forward to it. I've heard that the writing is really good. It is that blend of science fiction and fantasy that I tend to like, so a more science fiction type setting with a lot of really classic fantasy tropes and character development that feels very reminiscent of fantasy. So I'm absolutely looking forward to reading that book, and I was really lucky because I managed to snag a hardcover copy, so I will be reading that physically, and I didn't know if that was going to be possible. So I am super excited about that. Like I said, I will open up a chat on the Discord on April the 1st, and there are a bunch of us who are going to be reading it together, and I just really hope that I love it. I want to enjoy it as much as everybody else has seemed to, and it seems like the kind of thing that is going to appeal to me. Apparently it has a narrative setup or a narrative structure that is reminiscent of The Name of the Wind. There are a lot of elements that will appeal to people who are fans of the Red Rising series. Those are all things that I really love. So Empire of Silence, if you have not read it and you want to, then come and join us as we discuss. The second buddy read for the channel is kind of like an informal buddy read that we set up for this month, and it is actually reading one of my favorite books. I don't know how many people are going to be participating in this part, but there are going to be some people, and I think Diana from Diana and the Nook is also going to be reading this with me as well. We talked about reading this book together a couple of months ago, so hopefully her schedule will still allow her to do so. And that book is WATERSHIP Down. This is one of my, it fits so many boxes. It's one of my favorite fantasy standalones. It's one of my nostalgic favorites. It's one of the books that was the most influential to me. I love the book. I love the adaptation. I love almost everything about it. And it's been a number of years since I read it. I'll try to look it up. I'll see if in my old reading journals I can see when the last time I read this was, but I'm going to guess it's been probably between 8 and 10 years since I read this the last time. So I'm looking forward to it. I dabbled with the idea of maybe doing the audiobook because I had never read audiobooks up until last year. And I am enjoying that experience, and it might be fun if there's a good narrator to listen to this one because I haven't ever had the opportunity to listen to it. But I also kind of want to just read it physically because that's my preferred way of reading, and if I'm going to reread a favorite, then maybe that's how I want to do it. But I think I'll probably do a vlog for this one, just talk about some of my feelings, how they've changed over time, what I really like about it, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you have not read WATERSHIP Down, it is an absolute classic, and I would love to have you come and join us as we read through it because I think it is going to be a pretty good time. That'll probably start in the middle of the month. And then the last buddy read that I organized on the Discord was Tigana by Guy Gavriel Kay. This is a book that I had wanted to read last year, and I actually started reading it when Alan did a buddy read of it over on his channel. And it was during the summer months, and I think we either left town or I was really busy. There was something that kept me from reading it. And it was I do not classify it as a DNF or anything because I only read 2 chapters and I really enjoyed the style. I thought that the opening was really compelling. I was very interested in it. I absolutely wanted to read it. It was just there were some sort of extenuating circumstances that held me back from being able to finish it, and I am looking forward to doing so. So I'll pick that one up probably near the end of the month, and if that one bleeds over into May, then I'll be fine with that because I know it's a chunky book and I don't want to feel like I'm forcing myself to read through it super quickly. But Tagana is going to be my first book by Guy Gabriel Kay, and we'll be discussing that one on the Discord as well. And then the final buddy read for the month of April is one that I have organized with Evie and Yolene. And I think there's actually some other booktubers like maybe Abby who are going to join in for this as well. And that is the Seven Waters read along. I don't know if we're doing the trilogy or if we're going to do all 6 books, but we are at least doing the trilogy, 1 book a month. So for March, that was Daughter of the Forest, which was one of my favorite books from last year. And the second book is Son of Shadows, and we're going to be doing that one in April. So I have not read Son of Shadows, absolutely adored Daughter of the Forest. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I have heard different things from different people. Most people seem to really like it. Some people say it's just as good as Daughter of the Forest. Some people say that it's not, quite that level, but it's still really enjoyable. I'm not sure what to expect. I just love Daughter of the Forest so much that it would surprise me if I liked this book the same amount, but I would love to. I really enjoy Juliette Marlier's writing style. I think that this is going to be a phenomenal read, and I am really, really looking forward to it. So hopefully that one will be equally enjoyable. Someone has just arrived, so I'm going to take a pause. The perils of recording when you have kids. They were at a friend's house and then they all came barreling in, but I sent them to my parents' house for ice cream. So hopefully that will tide them over for the next 10 minutes or so for us to get through the rest of this video. But back to the TBR. The next 2 books, I'm kind of treating them as a 2-in-1, will be the end of my Dresden read through. This is such a bittersweet moment. So this is Peace Talks and Battlegrounds. Or Battleground. I'm not actually sure. I'll pop it up anyway. But I am so sad to not have any further Dresden books to read. But I'm so excited to see what happens in these final 2 Dresden books. And I have so much Dresden content that I want to explore. There's so many things that I want to talk about. It will be spaced out, obviously. It's not just going to be like Dresden Palooza for a month on the channel, but it just opens up so many avenues. I have been very careful. I'm very careful all the time. Very vigilant about spoilers. I do not want to be spoiled for anything. So it's been really hard for me to look up anything like author interviews, artwork. I don't want to accidentally stumble upon a spoiler. So it will also feel very freeing, I think, once I have finished Dresden, to be able to read things, to be able to read articles or theories or author interviews or anything like that. Because I have avoided all of that up to this point, and I really want to get a little bit deeper in terms of understanding a bit more about Jim Butcher and maybe what's in the future for Dresden Files and all those things. But I think it will definitely be a bittersweet moment because the journey of reading Dresden Files has been intense. I started off just enjoying these as a palate cleanser and then getting really invested, and now were I to redo my favorite fantasy series, I would have to include Dresden on that list. It would be impossible not to. I have grown so attached to the characters. I'm so invested in the story. And after April, so shall begin my waiting period where I am tortured with everybody else in having to wait for the next Dresden books to appear. So it is with mixed emotions that I approach those next books on the TBR. After that, one of the new releases for April that I'm really looking forward to reading is called Spear. And this is a novella, I believe. I think it just kind of treads the line between short novel and novella. And this is an Arthurian retelling. I kind of struck out last year with the new release Arthurian retelling that I gave a try, and I'm hopeful that this one will be a little more to my style. I think this is more historically it's supposed to be more historically accurate than some other Arthurian retellings, but I honestly know very little about it. I just saw Arthurian retelling, released this year, and I put it on my anticipated books list, and I'm gonna keep it on there and try to read through. But I think there's a couple of people that I've chatted with who are going to be reading this one as well, so hopefully we'll be able to get some good discussion there, and I'm hopeful that it is going to be enjoyable. One of the other books that was on my anticipated releases that I'm going to be reading in April is Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse. Now, I did order a copy of Black Sun, which is book 1. I read that on a whim last year. I actually listened to it on a whim because it was available on from my library on audio. And I was like, okay, well, I was driving somewhere. I needed something to read. And I was like, okay, well, I will read that. And I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It is not like the typical fantasy tropes that I usually like, and I loved it. I love the characters. I thought the story was so cool. And there's a very fast-paced ending that ends on a series of cliffhangers. So I definitely want to read the next book when it comes out. My only question to myself is, do I want to reread Black Sun? Because it was very short. It's a short novel in general, and also it's paced very well, so you get through it quickly. So part of me is thinking, should I reread book 1 so that I feel really ready for book 2? Or what am I going to do? I'm going to leave that up in the air, because this is kind of a hefty list of books. Some of them are quite long. I don't want to overextend myself and feel like I can't get to everything that I want to get to, but I have been looking forward to this release, and I am hopeful that I will have time to read Black Sun and then also read Fevered Star right afterward. Other than that, I've been reading through the manga series 20th Century Boys with Patrick. We just recently recorded a video about the first arc of that story, and I will definitely be continuing on with 20th Century Boys and finishing that at the beginning of April. So really looking forward to that as well. And that's everything. Like I said, there's a lot of books on there, some that are new releases, some are old favorites, some are ones that have just been getting a lot of hype, but I'm very excited for all of them. And then I am also very much excited for May, where I'm going into a month where I feel like I don't have any obligations, where I can read whatever and substitute things in and out as I see fit. But if you are joining in for any of these books, then I would love to hear about it. Please let me know what you are planning to read in April. What are you most looking forward to? And are any of those new releases on your most anticipated list of 2022? And I will see you with another video soon. Bye!